The palace of Queen Virella stretched across the sparkling city like a crown of light. Its walls were made of crystal-like materials that shimmered in every color of the alien spectrum. The people of the galaxy knew this planet as the home of the most powerful queen in the known universe. Aliens of every kind bowed to her, feared her, and obeyed without question. The queen herself was known for her arrogance. She expected nothing less than perfection, and she enjoyed reminding everyone of their inferiority. Yet, today, the palace had a new visitor. A human, a timid, soft-spoken human named Eli, had arrived to serve as a guard. Humans were rare in the galaxy. Most alien societies saw them as weak, fragile, and unimportant. They could not understand why a human would even want to travel to such a dangerous place. For Eli, however, it was a chance to serve. He had grown up on a small Earth colony and had trained himself to remain calm in tense situations. But the grandeur of Virella's palace and the weight of its power were overwhelming. Eli walked through the grand halls, trying to keep his head low. Every step he took echoed off the polished floors, and every eye seemed to turn toward him. He could feel the weight of the alien stares, curious, mocking, and cautious all at once. The alien guards whispered among themselves, pointing at his small frame and pale skin. Eli kept walking, pretending not to notice, though his stomach twisted in nerves. In the throne room, Queen Virella sat upon a throne that looked like it had been carved from the heart of a star. Her skin was a deep violet, her eyes glimmered like molten gold, and her crown seemed to float above her head, radiating authority. Her arms rested on the throne's arms, and she leaned slightly forward, as if daring anyone to approach her. "Bring the human guard forward," she commanded, her voice sharp like a blade. Eli's heart raced as he stepped into the room. The alien guards bowed, their long limbs bending at impossible angles. Eli lowered his head in respect, though it was difficult to keep his hands from trembling. The queen's eyes locked onto him immediately. "So, this is the famous human," Virella said, her tone dripping with condescension. "The one they claim can guard a palace of galactic importance." She let out a short, dismissive laugh. "We shall see if you are worth the attention you have received." Eli nodded quietly. "I will do my best, Your Majesty," he said, his voice barely, louder than a whisper. The queen tilted her head, studying him. He was small and his shoulders slumped slightly with nervousness. He looked fragile, like a creature that might break if handled too roughly. Virella's advisors snickered behind her throne. This human was nothing, they thought. "Very well," she said, waving her hand. "You may begin your duties. Follow the commands of the palace guards and do not make a fool of yourself." Eli swallowed hard and nodded again. The advisors laughed quietly, whispering among themselves about the queen's latest folly in allowing a human guard, but Eli didn't hear them. His mind was focused on not embarrassing himself. The first day was a disaster. Eli fumbled with the alien weaponry, accidentally dropping a plasma baton, which sparked briefly on the floor. He got lost several times in the winding corridors and accidentally interrupted a minor ceremony by opening the wrong door. Each mistake earned a sharp look from Virella and muffled laughter from the guards. Despite the embarrassment, Eli never ran. He never shouted or argued. He simply tried again, learning from his mistakes. This resilience, unnoticed by most, was what began to catch Virella's attention. Later that day, an alarm rang through the palace. A rogue alien, sneaking through the outer walls, had breached the perimeter. The palace guards rushed to intercept, but in the chaos, one of the guards tripped and fell, leaving a critical area unprotected. Eli didn't think. He ran forward, pushing past the larger, more skilled guards. He grabbed the fallen guard, dragging him out of harm's way, and helped to subdue the intruder. The hall was silent when it was over. Even Virella's advisors froze, staring at the human who had saved one of their own. Virella herself stood, her eyes narrowing, but there was a spark in them that hadn't been there before. "You handled that well," she said slowly, almost reluctantly. "Perhaps you are not as weak as you appear." Eli bowed, cheeks burning with embarrassment and pride. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said simply. Varela didn't respond further. She returned to her throne, but her eyes lingered on him longer than before. She had never seen a human act so decisively. Most humans she had encountered were timid, fragile, and easy to dismiss. Yet this one, this small, quiet human, had acted without hesitation, without fear, and without thought of reward. The day continued with lessons and training, but Varela found herself watching Eli more than she did the advisors. There was something in the way he moved, so careful and deliberate yet surprisingly quick when needed. Something about the human intrigued her. She did not understand it, and she was not used to feeling such curiosity about a subject she usually considered beneath her. That evening, as the sun, or what humans would call a sun, set behind the crystalline towers of the palace, Eli stood alone on the balcony, overlooking the city. He breathed in the alien air, trying to calm his racing heart. He had survived the first day. That was more than he had expected. But he knew tomorrow would be harder. There would be more mistakes, more humiliation, and more tests of his worth. Varela watched him from her own balcony across the courtyard. The golden light of her throne room reflected in her eyes, and she could not look away from the human who dared to stand calmly in a world that was not meant for him. She had faced countless threats, cunning enemies, and deceitful allies. But something about this fragile human intrigued her in a way she could not explain. Her advisors came to her, reporting on Eli's mistakes and the minor incidents he had caused. They expected the queen to dismiss him or punish him severely, but Varela only smiled faintly, a rare expression that few had ever seen. She made no move to punish the human. Instead, she quietly wondered why she felt a strange fascination with him, a curiosity she could not name. As night fell, the palace was quiet except for the soft hum of alien energy fields and the occasional footsteps of guards making their rounds. Eli returned to his small quarters, exhausted, but alive. He sat on the edge of his bed, thinking about the queen, the palace, and the impossible challenge that lay ahead. He had never imagined himself in a place like this, surrounded by beings who saw him as weak and unworthy. Yet he was here, and somehow he felt that his life was about to change in ways he could not yet understand. Meanwhile, Varela sat alone, in her throne room, looking at the human guard who had unwittingly captured her attention. She could not understand why her mind kept returning to him. Arrogant as she was, proud as she had always been, she felt a small, unfamiliar twinge of something that was not disdain, something like curiosity or perhaps admiration. The morning light shimmered across the palace towers, painting the crystal walls in shades of blue and gold. Inside, the palace was alive with movement. Aliens of every shape and color hurried through the halls, preparing for the day's duties. Yet amidst the busy chaos, Queen Varela's eyes searched for one figure, Eli, the human guard. Ever since yesterday, she could not stop thinking about him. How could such a small, seemingly fragile creature move with purpose when so many others faltered? How could he act decisively in a world that had already written him off as weak? For a queen used to being admired and obeyed without question, Eli's quiet strength was unsettling. Varela's advisors, unaware of her growing interest, busied themselves with palace matters. They did not understand her fascination. "Why spend attention on a human?" one whispered. "They are simple, weak, unimportant." Varela only smiled faintly. "Perhaps," she replied, her voice soft but filled with curiosity. "Perhaps they are not as simple as we think." Meanwhile, Eli prepared for another day of training and duty. He woke before dawn as instructed and went through his morning exercises. The palace weapons and armor were strange to him. He struggled to understand their functions, and the guards often rolled their eyes at his mistakes. But Eli refused to give up. Each time he failed, he tried again. He learned slowly, but he learned. By mid-morning, Eli was stationed at the palace entrance, observing the visitors and traders who came from across the galaxy. He felt the stares of other guards, curious and mocking, but he kept his head low and focused on his duty. From her throne, Varela watched him. She noticed how he adapted, how he moved cautiously yet with attention. She noticed the small ways he improved, how he corrected his mistakes without complaint. Unlike other humans she had met, Eli did not beg for attention or approval. He simply did his best, quietly and diligently. During a brief moment of peace, a young alien child ran into the hall crying loudly. The child had dropped a valuable trinket, a gift meant for the queen, and now feared punishment. Other guards hesitated, unsure how to respond. Eli, seeing the child's fear, stepped forward. "Don't worry," he said softly, crouching to the child's level. "It's okay. Let's get it back." With careful hands, he picked up the trinket and handed it back to the child. The child's eyes widened with relief and gratitude. For a moment, the guards and advisors watched in silence, stunned at the human's calmness. Varela's interest grew. She leaned forward slightly on her throne, observing every motion. There was something remarkable in his simplicity, in his quiet courage. She did not understand why a small human could affect her so deeply, but she could not look away. Later that day, the palace training yard became a stage for more challenges. Eli was assigned to practice combat drills with the alien guards. The aliens moved quickly and fluidly, their bodies long and strong, while Eli struggled to match them. He missed blocks, stumbled over his feet, and often found himself on the ground. The other guards laughed. "Look at the human," one jeered. "He will never be able to fight like us." Eli's face turned red, but he did not give up. He watched the other guards carefully, trying to mimic their movements. Slowly, painstakingly, he began to improve. He blocked more strikes, dodged with better timing, and even managed to land a few hits. Varela observed quietly from the balcony, above the training yard. Each small success, each tiny victory, made her pulse quicken in ways she did not understand. She had faced enemies who were far stronger, far smarter, and far more dangerous than a human. Yet this human, timid, small, and quiet, was captivating her attention. As evening approached, Eli returned to the palace halls, exhausted but satisfied. He had made mistakes, yes, but he had also proven himself capable of learning and adapting. For the first time, he felt a small spark of pride. He had survived the scrutiny of the palace guards and even impressed the queen in some small, unnoticed way. Varela, however, could not stop thinking about him. That night, she asked her closest advisor, a wise alien named Therix, about humans. "Why do you care about him, Your Majesty?" Therix asked cautiously. "He is weak, a human. They do not belong in this palace." Varela's eyes narrowed slightly. "Tell me about humans, about their courage, their loyalty, their ways of thinking. I want to understand why this one, human, intrigues me so." Therix frowned but obeyed, speaking of the human race's history of survival, cleverness, and adaptability. "They are fragile in body," he said, "but they have a stubborn will, and sometimes a cunning mind. They survive against odds that would destroy other species." Varela listened intently. "And this human, Eli, does he show these traits?" "He does, Your Majesty," Therix replied carefully. "In small ways, yes. But he is still a human, and they remain limited." Varela leaned back on her throne, her mind racing. She did not care about his species' limitations. She cared about this human, his actions, his determination, his quiet strength. It was a strange feeling, unfamiliar and distracting, yet she could not deny it. Meanwhile, Eli struggled with his own thoughts. He noticed that the queen sometimes watched him, her golden eyes following his movements. At first he thought she was only assessing him, perhaps mocking him silently. But lately there was something different in her gaze, something that made him nervous, but also curious. The next day, a small crisis emerged. A malfunction in the palace energy grid caused a short blackout in a wing of the palace. Alarms rang and guards rushed to the area. Eli, though still learning, remembered some of the instructions he had received during training. He moved quickly, helping to guide the panicked guards and repairing a minor control panel with careful attention. The lights flickered back on. The other guards cheered quietly for his assistance, and Varela, observing from above, felt a spark of admiration. Not only had he acted decisively, but he had also done so calmly, without panic, without seeking praise. That evening, Varela summoned Eli privately. It was the first time the Queen had requested to see him alone. His heart raced as he bowed before her. "You helped today," she said, her voice soft but firm. "Not many humans would have acted so quickly or so calmly. You surprise me." Eli swallowed nervously. "I only did what I could, Your Majesty," he said humbly. Varela studied him closely, noting the sincerity in his voice, the quiet determination in his eyes. "You are different from what I expected," she admitted. "Most humans are timid, easily broken. You are not." Eli felt a strange warmth at her words, a mixture of pride and fear. He did not understand why the Queen, so proud and arrogant, would take an interest in a simple human like him. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said softly. "I will continue to do my best." Varela inclined her head. "See that you do. The palace will test you in many ways. I expect you to endure, and perhaps to surprise me again." Eli bowed and left, feeling a mix of relief and confusion. The Queen's words lingered in his mind, leaving him both honored and bewildered. That night, as the palace quieted and the stars glimmered outside the crystal walls, both human and Queen lay awake in their own thoughts. Eli wondered what the future held and how he could continue to prove himself worthy. Varela wondered why this fragile creature held her attention so completely. In the silence, a connection began to form, a bridge between species, between strength and humility, between arrogance and courage. Neither of them fully understood it yet, but it was there, quiet and unyielding. Tomorrow, the palace would bring more challenges, more tests, and more opportunities for both human and Queen to discover the truths hidden within themselves, and the galaxy would slowly begin to see that the timid human guard was anything but ordinary. The palace corridors were quieter than usual that morning. The sunlight glinted off the crystal walls, casting reflections that danced like living creatures across the floors. Eli walked carefully, making sure not to trip or disturb anything. He had grown more confident since his first day, but he still felt like he did not belong. Every step reminded him of the eyes that watched him constantly, some curious, some mocking. Queen Varela, however, was not concerned with appearances that day. From her throne room, she watched the human guard move with a strange mix of caution and quiet assurance. His presence intrigued her more than ever. She had seen him face minor crises without panic, handle delicate tasks with careful thought, and endure criticism without complaint. But it was more than competence that caught her attention. Eli had a kind of honesty and innocence that was rare in her court. Most beings in her palace were cunning, hiding motives behind polite words. Eli was simple and truthful. He did not pretend to be strong or clever. He just was. And that simplicity fascinated her. By midday, the Queen had made a decision. She sent a discreet message through her aides, requesting Eli to meet her in a private part of the palace, an area rarely used by anyone except the Queen herself. Eli's heart thudded when he received the note. He had never been called alone to the Queen before. He wondered what he had done. Had he made a mistake, or had he done something right? He followed the instructions carefully, stepping into the secluded garden that was hidden behind tall crystal walls. The garden was unlike anything Eli had seen on his home planet. Flowers glowed with soft luminescence, streams of water reflected the light in rainbow patterns, and the air smelled faintly sweet and electric at the same time. Queen Varela stood near the center of the garden, her posture relaxed yet commanding. She did not speak immediately. She simply studied him, her golden eyes sharp and calculating. Eli bowed instinctively, his palms pressed together, but she waved him to stand. "You are brave," she said finally, "and surprisingly capable." Eli blinked. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he replied softly. "Why do you not fear this palace? Do you not see how many eyes are on you at all times?" she asked, her voice curious rather than commanding. "I am nervous, Your Majesty," Eli admitted, "but I try to focus on my duty. I do not want to fail." Varela raised an eyebrow. "Most humans would crumble under this pressure. You do not. Tell me why." Eli hesitated. He had been trained to follow orders, to endure, and to remain calm under pressure, but he had never explained his reasoning to anyone before. I just try to do what is right," he said finally. "Even if I am afraid, I try. That is all I can do." Varela studied him silently. His answer was simple, yet there was honesty in it, a raw honesty that she had never seen from her advisors or nobles. She felt an unexpected warmth in her chest. She did not understand it, but she did not try to fight it. Over the next few days, Varela found herself seeking opportunities to see Eli in secret. She would find excuses to be near the training yards, the hallways, and the garden. And Eli, though shy and timid, found himself noticing the queen more than he should. At first, he assumed she was only observing his mistakes, but her gaze often lingered longer than necessary. Their secret meetings became small conversations in hidden corridors or quiet corners of the garden. Varela asked questions about his home, his life on Earth, and even about the human way of thinking. Eli was hesitant, at first unsure how much he could say, but he soon realized that she was genuinely curious. She did not mock or judge. She listened. "You humans are strange," Varela said one evening, leaning against a glowing crystal tree. "You are so fragile, yet you survive against impossible odds. You are so soft, yet you show courage when needed." "I do not understand," Eli shrugged. "We have to survive," he said simply. "We do not have the strength of other species. We have to rely on our minds, our hearts, and each other." Varela's lips curved slightly. "And yet you do not demand respect. You do not flaunt strength. You simply act." "I do what I can," Eli said quietly. The simplicity of his words, the humility in his voice, stirred something deep within Varela. She realized, with a mixture of disbelief and fascination, that she was beginning to care about him, not just as a curiosity, but as someone important to her. But their growing bond did not go unnoticed. A rival courtier, a tall and cunning alien named Krail, had been observing them. He had long disliked Eli, seeing him as a nuisance and a threat to the established order. He could not tolerate the queen spending time with a human. "Your Majesty," Krail said one morning, bowing with calculated politeness, "it has come to my attention that you spend an unusual amount of time with that human guard. Surely this is not appropriate." Varela's eyes narrowed. "And why would that concern you?" she asked coldly. Krail bowed lower. "Only that it may bring dishonor to the throne. Humans are weak, Your Majesty. To be seen favoring one, it may weaken your image among the council." Varela tilted her head, considering him. "Do you fear a human more than the power of this throne?" she asked sharply. Krail did not answer. He could see that the queen's interest was genuine, not a whim, but he also knew she could not be swayed easily. Meanwhile, Eli's days continued with small successes and setbacks. He learned the palace routines, adapted to alien technologies, and even began to earn small nods of approval from the other guards. Yet he remained humble, never seeking recognition. One evening, as they met in the hidden garden, Varela asked Eli to help her with a small problem. A minor device that controlled the garden's light patterns had malfunctioned. None of her advisors could fix it. Eli, using logic and careful observation, discovered the simple cause, a misaligned crystal, and corrected it. The lights returned to their soft, glowing pattern, illuminating the garden in calming colors. Varela's eyes widened in surprise. "You fixed it?" she asked, genuinely impressed. Eli shrugged. "I noticed something was wrong. I just tried to figure it out." You humans are strange, Varela said softly, almost to herself. You are not strong, not fast, not powerful. Yet somehow you surprise me at every turn. Eli smiled faintly, unsure whether he should feel proud or embarrassed. I try my best, he said simply. For the first time, Varela felt a pang of something unfamiliar. Admiration, respect, and perhaps affection. She looked at Eli, really looked at him, and realized that she enjoyed his company in a way she had never enjoyed anyone's before. He made her feel lighter, calmer, even happier. But the palace was not a place for such feelings. Rumors could destroy reputations. Alien nobles could plot and scheme. And Krail was still watching. One evening, as they met in the garden again, Krail attempted to catch them in a compromising position. He strode into the hidden area, confident in his plan to embarrass the queen and the human. You dare meet in secret, human? He sneered. And you, queen, do you not see how foolish this is? Varela's eyes blazed. You will leave at once, Krail, she commanded. Her voice left no room for argument. Krail hesitated, surprised by her sudden anger. But Varela stepped closer to Eli, a protective presence. You will not interfere, she said firmly, or you will answer to me. Krail bowed quickly, retreating with a sly glance, but he knew this was only a temporary setback. He would wait for another chance. After he left, Eli looked at Varela with wide eyes. You defended me? He asked softly. Yes, she said simply, her golden eyes softening. Because I will not allow anyone to harm you for no reason. You have earned that much. Eli's heart raced. He had never been defended like this, not by anyone, and certainly not by a queen. A strange warmth filled him, a mix of gratitude, fear, and something else he could not name. Varela smiled faintly, a rare and private expression. Do you understand, human? You are not ordinary, and you are not unnoticed. Eli nodded, still unsure what to say. Words felt inadequate. But he understood her meaning. In the dangerous, sparkling world of the palace, he had found a strange ally, a guiding presence, and perhaps even a friend. As night fell, they parted, each walking to their own quarters, hearts full of thoughts they could not yet name. The palace was quiet, but the bond between human and queen had grown stronger. It was a secret friendship, fragile and delicate, yet powerful in its own way. The palace awoke under a sky streaked with deep red and purple, signaling the approach of danger. Queen Varela stood at her balcony, looking out over the vast city below. The stillness of the morning made the sudden alarm even more shocking, a loud, vibrating signal that echoed through the crystalline walls. Intruders were approaching. Not small thieves or curious explorers, but a rogue faction of aliens intent on seizing the palace. Varela's eyes sharpened. Her court sprang into action, sending guards to strategic points, preparing defenses and sealing entryways. Yet in the midst of the chaos, she could not stop thinking about one human guard, Eli. He had shown promise, cleverness, and courage before, but now he would be tested like never before. Eli, stationed at the main entrance, felt his heart hammering in his chest. He had trained for emergencies, but nothing could prepare him for a full-scale assault on the Queen's palace. He glanced at the larger alien guards, who flexed their claws and weapons confidently. He knew he was smaller, weaker, and less experienced. But retreat was not an option. The first wave of intruders arrived swiftly. They were fast, aggressive, and numerous. Alien guards clashed with them, plasma weapons sparking, energy shields flaring. Eli's initial instinct was fear, but he pushed it aside. He remembered the Queen's observation. You are not ordinary. He could not fail. Not now. Not when the palace and the Queen herself were at stake. A group of intruders broke through a side entrance, heading for the Queen's private chambers. One of the palace guards stumbled, leaving the path exposed. Without thinking, Eli ran forward, intercepting the intruders. His human size and agility allowed him to dodge attacks, and he used clever tricks, sliding along walls, diverting energy blasts, and even using a loose panel as a shield. The other guards watched, amazed. Eli moved like a whirlwind, small but quick, clever but fearless. Every human instinct he had honed during years of training came into play. He blocked, dodged, and redirected the intruders until reinforcements arrived. One by one, the invaders fell back. Varela, observing from her balcony, felt a spark of pride. Her pulse quickened as she realized just how capable this human was. Not only had he survived, but he had also protected the palace and its people. Her admiration deepened, blending with an unexpected affection she could no longer deny. Yet the danger was not over. Krail, the rival courtier, had taken advantage of the chaos. He had tried to manipulate the palace defenses, hoping to discredit Eli and seize control himself. With a calculated move, he attempted to corner the human guard, hoping the queen would be forced to act against him. Varela's eyes blazed. She would not allow anyone to harm him unjustly. With swift commands, she redirected palace defenses, countering Krail's sabotage. Her golden eyes met Eli's, and for a moment they shared a silent understanding. They would protect each other, no matter the cost. Eli fought fiercely. He could see Krail's scheme unfolding, and he used his quick thinking to anticipate it. He managed to disable a trap that would have ensnared him, turning the enemy's plan against them. The palace guards, inspired by his courage, rallied and pushed the intruders back. Through the chaos, Varela descended from her throne room, moving with grace and precision. She joined the fray, her presence commanding respect and fear alike. Yet she kept an eye on Eli, amazed at his determination and bravery. He moved with a quiet confidence that belied his timid nature. He was proving her wrong, and proving himself right. After hours of struggle, the intruders were finally defeated. The palace was damaged, but it stood. The invaders had underestimated the combination of alien power and human cunning. Guards tended to the wounded, repaired breaches, and began the work of restoring order. Varela turned to Eli, who stood panting, covered in minor scratches but alive. "You," she began, her voice unsteady with emotion. "You have done what I did not expect. You have protected this palace, its people, and me. You are more than capable." Eli lowered his head, unsure what to say. "I only did what I could, Your Majesty," he said softly. "I wanted to protect everyone." Varela stepped closer, her expression softening. "You are not ordinary, Eli. You are brave, clever, and honorable. You have earned my respect, and more." The other guards and advisors watched in silence. Whispers spread through the court. Never before had a human displayed such courage, in the face of overwhelming odds. Never before had a queen openly praised one. Shock and admiration rippled through the palace. Krail, humiliated and defeated, retreated into the shadows, seething. He had underestimated both the queen and the human guard. He would not forget this day, nor would he abandon his schemes. But, for now, the palace had survived, and Eli had proven himself in a way that no one could deny. As the chaos settled, Varela took Eli to a quiet chamber. She wanted to speak to him alone, away from the eyes of the court. Her hands rested lightly on the edge of the table, her golden eyes fixed on him. "Eli," she said, her voice softer than he had ever heard. "You have faced danger without hesitation. You have acted with courage when others faltered. You have shown wisdom beyond your years and species." Eli felt his face flush. He had never received such praise, especially not from a queen so powerful and proud. I only did what I thought was right," he said humbly. "And that is what makes you remarkable," Varela said. She paused, searching for the right words. "You are not like others. You see the world differently. You act with honesty, loyalty, and courage. You inspire me." Eli blinked. "Inspire you?" he repeated, unsure he had heard correctly. "Yes," Varela said firmly. "You have reminded me that strength is not only measured by power or skill. Sometimes it is measured by heart, determination, and integrity. You have all of these, Eli." The human guard could hardly believe his ears. A queen, the most arrogant, feared queen in the galaxy, was speaking to him with admiration and respect. A strange warmth filled him, mixing pride, fear, and something else he could not name. Varela continued, her voice gentler now. Do you understand what you have done today? You have changed how the court sees humans. You have shown them that bravery is not limited to size or strength. You have proven that even the smallest can achieve greatness. Eli nodded slowly. I just did what I had to do. I didn't think about changing anyone's opinion. That is exactly why it is remarkable, Varela said. She stepped closer, her eyes studying him with an intensity that made his heart race. You act without pride, without fear of recognition, and yet your actions speak louder than words ever could. That is a rare quality in any being. For a long moment, the room was silent. Only the distant sounds of palace repairs echoed through the walls. Eli looked at Varela, unsure how to respond. He had always believed that humans were weak and insignificant in the galaxy. Now, the most powerful queen in the universe was telling him otherwise. Varela finally smiled, a rare private expression. You have my respect, Eli. More than that, you have my trust. Eli felt a lump in his throat. He bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty, he whispered. You are welcome, she said softly. And remember this, human. Courage and loyalty are never wasted. You may be small, but your heart is mighty. Do not forget that. That night, as Eli returned to his quarters, he reflected on the events of the day. He had faced danger, outsmarted enemies, and earned the respect of the queen herself. For the first time in his life, he felt truly seen, not as a weak human, not as a timid guard, but as someone capable of great deeds. Varela, meanwhile, sat in her throne room, her thoughts consumed by Eli. His bravery, humility, and cleverness had touched her in ways she had never expected. She realized that her fascination had grown into something deeper, something resembling affection. But she knew the court would never understand. A queen showing admiration for a human could be dangerous, yet she could not deny her feelings. The palace had survived, but the real test was only beginning. The bond between human and queen had strengthened under fire, but the challenges ahead, court intrigue, rival factions, and the expectations of an entire galaxy, would test their courage and loyalty even further. The palace was still buzzing from the previous day's attack. Repairs were underway, injured guards were tended to, and the atmosphere was thick with tension. The court whispered about the human guard who had played a crucial role in defending the queen and the palace. Eli moved carefully through the halls, his uniform dusty, scratches on his arms, but his eyes steady. Despite the whispers, Eli remained humble. He did not seek recognition, nor did he enjoy attention. His focus was simple: protect the queen and continue to do his duty. But today, the queen had summoned him to the central hall, a place of ceremony and judgment, where she would speak to the court and make a statement that would change everything. As he entered the hall, Eli noticed the eyes upon him. Alien nobles, usually haughty and dismissive, now looked at him with a mixture of surprise, admiration, and disbelief. The whispers grew louder, questioning how a human could stand against the rogue faction with such cleverness and courage. But the queen remained the center of attention. Varela descended from her throne, her violet skin glowing under the hall's lighting. Her golden eyes swept across the crowd and then settled on Eli. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. Today, she would not hide her feelings. Today, the court would see the truth. Today, she began, her voice strong and commanding, we have witnessed acts of courage and loyalty that surpass expectation. In our history, humans have often been underestimated, but one human among us has shown bravery, cleverness, and honor beyond what we believed possible. The hall fell silent. All eyes turned to Eli, who instinctively lowered his head in respect. He did not understand what the queen intended, but he knew it was important. Varela continued, her gaze fixed on him. Eli, You have protected this palace and its people with a heart that refuses to give in to fear. You have proven that strength is not measured by size or power, but by courage, loyalty, and integrity. You have earned respect from every being here, including myself." A murmur ran through the court. Nobles exchanged stunned glances. A queen openly praising a human was unheard of. Some leaned forward, incredulous, while others whispered quickly to their neighbors. Eli felt his cheeks warm. "Your Majesty," he began, unsure what to say. "Do not speak yet," Varela said, her tone gentle but firm. She stepped closer to him. "You have earned more than respect. You have earned admiration, and perhaps something more." The words hung in the air. Shock rippled through the hall. No one had ever heard the Queen speak in such a way about anyone, let alone a human. The whispers grew louder, but Varela ignored them. Her focus was on Eli, and on what she felt in her heart. Eli stammered, struggling to find words. He had never expected this, never imagined that the Queen, the proud, powerful Queen, would express anything like this toward him. "I only did what I could, Your Majesty," he said softly. "And that is exactly why it matters," Varela replied, her golden eyes softening. "You did not act for praise or reward. You acted out of courage and loyalty. That is rare, and it is remarkable." The court watched in stunned silence as Varela took another step closer to Eli. Her voice lowered, almost a whisper, but every word carried weight. "Eli, Before she could finish, Krail stepped forward, attempting to intervene. "Your Majesty," he began, his voice cold and sharp. "Surely this praise is—" "Enough," Varela interrupted, her tone leaving no room for argument. Her eyes blazed with authority. "You will not speak against him. Eli has proven himself in ways you could not imagine. His courage and honor are beyond question." Krail faltered, silenced by the Queen's intensity. He had underestimated both the human and the Queen's willingness to stand for what was right. He retreated with a glare, muttering threats under his breath. Varela turned back to Eli, her expression softening. "Do you understand, human? You have changed more than the outcome of a battle. You have changed the way this court, and perhaps even this galaxy, sees your kind." Eli's chest swelled with pride, but he remained humble. I am honored, Your Majesty. I did not expect any of this." Varela smiled, a rare, genuine smile that lit her face. "You do not seek glory, and that is why your actions shine brighter than any display of power I have ever seen. You are extraordinary, Eli, not because you are human, but because you are you." The court could hardly believe what they were witnessing. The proud, arrogant Queen had openly declared admiration for a human. This human, once considered timid and weak, was now recognized as a hero in the eyes of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Eli felt a strange warmth in his chest, a mixture of pride, gratitude, and something deeper. He had always believed humans were small and insignificant in the vast galaxy. Now he realized that courage, integrity, and heart could shine brighter than any alien strength or royal decree. Varela stepped even closer, lowering her voice so only Eli could hear. "I care for you, Eli, more than I thought possible. You have captured my attention, my respect, and my heart." Eli's eyes widened. Your Majesty, He struggled for words, his mind racing. He had never imagined that the Queen, so powerful, so proud, could feel anything like this toward him. "You do not need to speak," Varela said softly. "Just know that what you have done, who you are, matters to me more than you can imagine." For a long moment they stood in silence, the weight of the words settling between them. The court watched, still in disbelief, but no one dared interrupt. Even Krail, watching from the side, realized that the Queen's declaration was final and absolute. The palace itself seemed to respond to the moment. The crystal walls shimmered softly, reflecting the warm glow of the Queen and the human standing together. Outside, the city glimmered under the evening sky, as if the universe itself acknowledged the shift. After the ceremony, Eli and Varela withdrew to a quiet chamber. For the first time, they could speak freely without the eyes of the court upon them. "You are different from anyone I have ever met," Varela said, her voice filled with emotion. "You are human, yes, but you are also brave, clever, and honest. You have shown me that there is more to strength than what I have known." Eli nodded slowly. I never thought I could mean anything to someone like you, Your Majesty. I only tried to do what was right. And that is exactly why you matter," Varela replied. She reached out, a gentle hand resting lightly on his arm. "You have changed me, Eli. You have made me see things differently, feel things I thought impossible." Eli felt a warmth spread through him, a feeling he had never experienced before. He realized that this queen, the most powerful, feared being in the galaxy, was showing him trust, respect, and affection. The weeks that followed brought changes to the palace and beyond. Humans gained newfound respect across the galaxy, their courage recognized in ways never before imagined. Eli's quiet heroism had shifted perceptions, proving that bravery and loyalty could come from the most unexpected places. For Varela, the transformation was personal as well as political. She allowed herself to feel openly for Eli, no longer hiding her fascination and affection. She walked beside him in the halls, her advisors watching in stunned silence yet unable to challenge her. She had chosen him, and no one could undo that. Eli, once timid and unsure, found confidence in his abilities and in the Queen's trust. He continued to serve with humility, but now he understood his own worth. He had shown that even a small human could make a difference in a galaxy ruled by giants. Their bond, forged in secrecy, tested by danger, and proven by courage, became a symbol throughout the palace. It was a reminder that true strength lies not only in power, but in heart, courage, and the willingness to act when it matters most. And as the stars twinkled above the palace, Eli and Varela stood side by side, facing the future together. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible, a timid human guard earning the love and respect of the most arrogant queen. Their story became legend, a tale of bravery, loyalty, and the power of the human spirit, a reminder that sometimes the smallest can change the course of worlds and the most arrogant can learn to love. The court remained shocked, the city buzzed with new respect for humans, and the palace shone brighter than ever. But for Eli and Varela, the greatest change was the one in their hearts. Together they had proven that courage, honesty, and love could defy expectation, and that even the unlikeliest bond could reshape the galaxy itself.